All right. Good afternoon and hello, everyone, and welcome back to Living a Purposeful Lifestyle with Jason Ricks. And I just want to welcome you back to the show. And today's guest now, this is a man who really needs no introduction here on LinkedIn. But for those of you that don't know, today's guest is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and owner of the Savannah Bananas, Mr. Yellow Tux himself, Jesse Cole. Jesse, welcome to Living Purposeful Lifestyle show. I can't tell you how thrilled we are to have you today.
I love the energy, Jason. I'm ready to rock, man. You're firing me up, so let's do this.
All right, let's go. So, why don't you, part of what we do on the show is to talk about how people found their purpose and how they walk through in their life. Like, how did you get to where you are? So, can you give us a little back history on how you became the owner of the Savannah Bananas?
Took on $1 million plus in debt. That's how I did it. So no, let's go back. Just long story short, I loved baseball growing up. My father actually bought a baseball facility so I could work out as a kid when I was like 5 years old, because I grew up in Massachusetts. And he used to always tell me, Jesse, swing hard in case you hit it. Swing hard in case you hit it. Some of the best advice I ever received. And so I was swinging hard as a kid and was fortunate to get a baseball scholarship to play D1 baseball down in South Carolina at Wofford College. And that was my dream, play professional baseball. By my junior year, I started receiving letters. I remember getting letters from the Padres and the Pirates and the Braves and even Christmas cards from the New York Mets. I was like, it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, I started feeling pain in my shoulder, and I found out I had 2 tears in my shoulder. And just like that, my career was over. And I ironically was filming a capstone project and was filming the story of coaching leadership and how to study leadership in business and coaching and compare it. And I became a character and turned the camera on myself and watched as I said, I'll never play baseball again. And it was one of the most emotional moments. I saw the video just about a couple months ago and relived it. And I was like, I had no idea what I was going to do. And I even quoted my dad. My dad said, Jesse, always stay positive. Don't worry about it. You're going to be, you're going to be okay. And that was tough for a few weeks. And then I realized it was the best thing that ever happened to me. So long story short, I got an email about an internship, and I took an internship with the worst performing team in the entire country in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And they only had 100 fans coming to the games. I was given a phone book and said, start selling, Jesse, and start selling sponsorships. I fortunately sold more than the GM and the director of sales. And I got offered the job as a GM of another team at 23 years old in Gastonia, North Carolina. And then keep going longer with that. Then that team was failing even more. There was only $268 in the bank account my first day as GM. The team had only 200 fans coming to the games. It was failing. We had to turn the whole model. And we came up with the idea of making it about entertainment, not about baseball, and make it more of a circus. And so that's where the testing ground started for 10 years in Gastonia. Dancing players, grandma beauty pageants, flatulence fun nights, salute to underwear nights. Jason, we tried it all and started having success. And then I bought that team and had the opportunity to come to Savannah, Georgia. And we saw that the professional team was leaving and that they were failing. And we came in there in October 5th, 2015, and that's where the real failure started, buying that team, and then what happened. So that's getting towards Savannah. It's a long story, but that was as fast as I could do it.
Wow, but that's a lot in that information. I love your energy as far as making it into a circus, which is I guess that's the best way to describe it. But I'm curious I got to hear this. So. I understand that, some of your greatest influencers in life were Walt Disney, obviously, and P.T. Barnum, two of the greatest showmen and people that got the show business. So can you tell me about like P.T. Barnum? Obviously they've got The Greatest Showman out there now. Great movie. Love the music. It's probably one of my favorites. How did you discover P.T. Barnum, and how did that influence your life?
By the great Joe Vitale, the author, he wrote, "There's a customer born every minute," and it was a book about P.T. Barnum. And I first read that when I was 23 years old, and it was about how P.T. Barnum applied some of his ways of creating attention and caring for his customers into business. And I read that book, and then I just searched for every single book that I could read on P.T. Barnum. And, as he said, no one ever made a difference by being like everyone else. And so I literally started studying how to create attention, how to stand out. P.T. Barnum said, the noblest art is that of making others happy. And I said, well, baseball in its current state was not making other people happy right now. No one was coming to the games. It was too long, too slow, too boring. And we need to make it more fun. And so PT Barnum influenced me to start doing crazy, crazy things at the ballpark with our dancing players, and now our breakdancing first base coach and our senior citizen dance team, the Bananas. That attention, but that also brings fun. And that's what PT Barnum was doing. And then Walt Disney, How to Be Like Walt by Pat Williams was the first book I read from him. And it blew my mind. The vision that Walt had. I have a big poster of him in my office that says, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible." And I've been trying to do the impossible and make baseball fun and create more fans when a game that is dying, the traditionalists are really running the game and trying to create something really special. And Walt has led me in that vision to change the game and change the fan experience.
Yeah, it's so awesome to hear this. Like, I feel like I've got a million questions because I love this. And like, I'll tell you, I was introduced to the Savannah Bananas story. Maybe it's a little over a year and a half ago. I found you on LinkedIn somehow, and I found the story that y'all made on YouTube, the Savannah Banana story. And listen, for all the listeners out there, if you have not found that YouTube video, well, it's the best 15 minutes of your life today. Go find it after the show and watch it. It is incredible. So one of the fun things that I thought was the mascot story. So y'all are trying to come up with this name, and then y'all have this mascot. So can you talk about that just a little bit, because I think it's just out of this world awesome.
Sure. Well, when we showed up to Savannah, to kind of parlay from that where that story ended, it was myself, my wife, our 24-year-old president, and 3 22-year-olds straight out of college. And when we showed up that first day, the former team cut the phone lines, cut the internet lines. They took everything out of the ballpark. We grabbed a picnic table, brought it into a storage building, and started calling everyone in the community. And no one wanted anything to do with us. And so we were marketing like everyone else, and we were getting terrible results. And that's why I believe normal gets normal results. We were doing the normal thing. And so we only sold 2 tickets in the first 3 months. It was like a donation. Jason was like, "Here you go, guys. We feel bad for you. Take these 2 tickets." That was it. And so I just celebrated the 5-year anniversary on January 15th of the phone call. And the phone call where I got that we had overdrafted our account. It was on a Friday afternoon, and that we had no money. And my wife and I, we had to sell our house, and we emptied out our savings account, and we went down to Savannah, and we're sleeping on an airbed. And when you bring up the mascot story, we knew at that point we had to do something to create attention. We had to do something completely different, big. And so we had named the team contest like everyone does. But I said, we need something dramatically different, something crazy. And what do we get? Completely normal names. The Sailors, the Ports, the Anchors, all just normal names, except for one was the Bananas. And I said, could we be a team named after a fruit? I was like, could we do that? But could we actually go even further? And I said, could we have a senior citizen dance team called the Bananas? Could we have a male cheerleading team called the Bananas? Could we call our mascot Split? Could everything be Go Bananas? Could we do music videos that can't stop appealing? And all these ideas came out because we challenged ourselves to be dramatically different than everyone else. And as you know, when we came up with the name, it went viral nationally and internationally, but locally, we were crucified. The owner should be thrown out of town. We heard you guys are an embarrassment to the city. You'll never sell a ticket. I mean, people are embarrassed, but we got the attention. And what I've learned is that if you really want to get the hearts of customers and fans, you first have to get their eyes and ears. And so we had to get attention, and attention beats marketing 1,000% of the time. We got the attention, and then once they came out of the first game and saw the fans' first experience and the all-inclusive tickets and the dancing players, the breakdancing first base coach and the pep band, they told everyone. And now we're so lucky that every single game is sold out, and there's a wait list for tickets in the thousands for a crazy guy in a yellow tuxedo and a team that's still trying wild things. And so that's how it came to be.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that for the viewers to really think about, we're talking about summer league players. So we're not talking about a major league baseball team. We're talking about summer league players. So and to sell out the stadium, weekend or night in, night out during the summer. Wow, what an accomplishment! And I think that the split and you had the young man. I know you made a video of this young guy that was the welcome greeter, and you were going to play this out.
Our professional high fiver.
The professional high fiver. I saw that. I'm like, wow. And you not only made the fans' day, but that young man's life and the difference. And you could just see what it meant to him to be involved. And, I think about the whole reason why I started doing this live show was to influence lives and to help people through dark times. And I want to kind of talk about that for a quick minute, because one of the things about your story that really resonated with me was I went through a really challenging time about 15 years ago. Went through a divorce and I lost everything. Ended up on an air mattress with a TV, no money, broke as it comes. And I remember, making a promise to myself and to God that if He would help provide a way, I would bring honor to Him and through the process with the rest of my life. And I've been on this mission ever since. And in a lot of ways, I connect with you on that because I see it very similar. Maybe it's in a different channel in a different way, but very much about making an impact, making a difference. And your tagline, stop standing still and start standing out. I love it. It's the essence of what you're about. So I wanted you to know that with going back to the young man and talking about making the impact in his life, when you found him, I have to believe there was a reason he was chosen, right? Like there just had to be a reason he was chosen.
Well, with anybody, I mean, I think it's so important for leaders today to scream from a mountaintop on who they are, what they stand for, and what their story is. If you want to attract the right people, people need to know, what you believe in. And I think every company should share their beliefs. And so we scream and say, hey, we're trying to bring joy, bring fun, bring happiness. And, when I saw at the second to last game this year and a season ticket holder came up to me, with a tear coming down his face and he goes, "You guys saved my life." And I go, "What?" He goes, "I was in an extremely dark place before this season and with COVID and everything. And I was in a very dark place. But when I heard you guys were going to play and I came out to that first game and saw people still dancing and saw people singing and I was able to have fun, you gave me something to look forward to every night." And when we realize that the fun and joy and the dancing players and, literally having making bacon urinal cakes our rival in our men's bathrooms and doing all these silly, ridiculous things we do, it's a bigger purpose. So when you ask about Colton, our professional high fiver, we're trying to add things every year to add more fun to the experience and surprise fans. We don't spend a lot of money on marketing. We spend zero on traditional marketing, but we spend money on the experience. And so we said, hey, we're hiring a professional high fiver. This was 2 years ago before COVID, and no one wanted the job. We couldn't find anybody. And then so literally the day before the first game, a 6-year-old and his mother walks in, and the 6-year-old comes into the office and starts high-fiving everybody. I go, "Kid, you got the job." And so we got him a jersey with his name high, put his name as high and his number 5. And we said, "Your goal is to high five everybody in the stadium." And he goes, "All right, I'll do my best." And I said, "Can you get at least 1,500 to 2,000, which is 1/3 or half?" He's like, "Yes." So he has his little ticker and he goes through and high fives everybody in the stadium. And that's his sole job. And we actually pay him. We probably break every child labor law there is. I mean, we pay him, but that's fine. The reality is, right before the season this past year after COVID hit, we were going to find a way to play because that's our whole mentality. Find a way and do it the right way. And we were, with 0 positive cases for that matter. But we found a way. And he came up to me all sad and was like, "Does that mean I don't have a job this year?" And I go, "No, we'll find a way." And so we talked about it. And he goes, "Well, could I be the professional air high fiver?" And I go, "Yes, you can." And so literally this season, he came out to every game and air high-fived the fans. And we still paid him. He still did his job. And he had so much fun. He danced with the players. He hangs out in the dugout. He goes out with the fans. And that's just one child. And there's one young fan and one young teammate of ours. But they're all over. And so we always say every game is someone's first game. No matter what you're in, every day is someone's first interaction with you or your brand. How do you make them feel? And that's what drives us every single day at the ballpark.
Absolutely. You talk a lot about that and talking about turning customers into fans and then fans into fanatics, right? And I thought that was a genius. And, and I think I even maybe messaged you at one point because, we started talking about in our business in a convenience store, like, how do we turn customers into loyal Buckies? And some of the things that we've done, is similar stuff, just high fives and this energy and creating energy and experience. And because so often everybody wants to talk about brand and they want to look at it as putting a logo on a package or putting store logos, and it just becomes this logo game. And I'm like, it's so much more than a logo. It's how they feel about your business when they're there, and when they leave, what do they feel? So that's where.
Can I dive in on that, Jason?
Go for it, man.
I think so much like a convenience store. Mostly it's like, all right, I got to run in and grab something. I'm on the way to somewhere else. All right. they never think of it, in my mindset, as like a destination, you know? So what if it is a destination? Why, like, what would that look like for there to be a happy hour on, 4 to 6 where there's a DJ playing music and there's giveaways and there's an experience? In a convenience store mindset, I'd say that doesn't make sense. But what if it does? What if spending that money on the experience get people excited and they say, you know what? I got to go to Buc-ee's between 4 and 6 on Thursdays. It's fun. They do this. And it just changes the mindset to say, I'm looking forward to how they're going to make me feel. That's what we're always trying to say. What is that feeling in the parking lot? That's why we have parking penguins. What's that feeling when people leave? That's why we give away free s'mores and have a plaza party with our pep band. Every single touch point, how do you make them feel? And think differently. This is the way the convenience store done in the past. Let's go the opposite. And I love that you're thinking that way.
Yeah, and it's, the biggest thing is that we're so trained in our mind to think about the status quo, I think, and I think in business, it's easy to get into a rut of just like doing it the way everyone else has ever done it. And so, I think that there's so much opportunity to do things in a different way, especially in the convenience industry, because it really hasn't changed a lot. We're still selling the same grades of gas, the same Snicker bars, in the same traditional way that we have for the last 20 years. So there's not been a ton of innovation. So I think that finding ways to make it fun to go to a convenience store would be, I just think it would be out of sight.
So what? Yes. So it's finding the right problem. So one problem we're trying to say is what would make fans want to stay to the end of the game? In baseball, fans leave very early. So there's a challenging. So we actually had Idea Paloozas answering that question and come up with all the ideas that would make fans want to stay. I mean, even this year, like, we're going to be the first baseball team ever to have halftime shows. That doesn't make any sense at all. We're literally in the middle of the game. We're going to have a full-fledged halftime performance that people can look forward to just because we're testing things and trying things new. So again, what would that look like for people, for customers, for fans to want to spend time at a convenience store, not get in and get out? What's that difference maker? And it's asking different questions if you want better answers.
Yeah, and so you kind of touched on this halftime show. So that's a crazy thing. So are you able to share any more about that, or kind of give us a preview of what you got in mind there?
There's two reasons on why I don't share everything. Because we're still working on everything, and we don't know until we actually do it. And everything's in test process. We experiment things with every single game. Every game we do new promotions we've never done. So yes, where are we getting inspiration outside of the baseball industry? Like before games this year, can we have weigh-ins between the visiting team and the home team when they come up? Can we do tug of wars? Can we do more competitions between the teams before games? We're asking those questions. There's a lot of things that are in the works for this season, but they're all in the works. So the halftime show is one concept, that we're thinking. We're talking about it this morning. What would it take to have everyone say, you can't leave your seats for the halftime show? And what is it? Is it only 30 seconds? Is it a half a second halftime show? Or is it a 5-minute halftime show? What type of, are we having confetti guns? Is there a whole dance performance? Is there a greatest showman performance? Are the players, the whole cast involved? All these questions we're asking, and we'll see how it turns out.
All right. Well, I think that based upon prior experience, I can assure you whatever you guys come up with will be quote unquote bananas. So that's awesome. And I love it. So the next thing, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. So, obviously in the news yesterday, 42 teams came out, or 42 minor league teams got cut. Mm-hmm. And that leaves a lot of talent out there that needs a place to play baseball this year. And I'd like you to talk a little bit, you being in the baseball business, of how you see that and perhaps how that could be a really a nice windfall for you guys and your business.
Yeah, I think our mindset isn't directly a windfall for us. Our mindset is, hey, there's another problem out there involved in our industry. How can we help it? And so how can we fix it? And the problem is, the fundamental problem is that baseball is still too long, still too slow, still too boring, and we're losing fans every day. And when you look at the 100 most famous athletes in the world, and there's no baseball players on the list, that's a fundamental problem. So that's a problem. The fact that Major League Baseball eliminated 42 teams and there's hundreds, maybe thousands of players that aren't going to have a job, that's a problem. So how can we marry this, make baseball fun, plus give more people the opportunity to play? And so, of course, we ask the questions that we're focusing on what isn't versus what is. And so one big thing for us is that we just play during the summer. Why do we just have to play in the summer? Why do we have to be in a league? Why is there an off season? you keep asking whys. And so we started asking those questions, say, what would it take to be a 24/7, 365 team that plays games year round? Well, we couldn't have college players, no, but could we have professional players? Could we form our own team? Could we play another team? Can we take the show on the road and bring the Bananas show to other cities? And all those questions have come out over this last year because of all the challenges that COVID brought us. We started questioning even more. And so, yeah, we've developed a brand new premier team that we're going to bring in players from all over the country. And it's going to be hopefully the most fun experience ever. I mean, we're going to have bat flips. We're going to play our new game that we invented called Banana Ball, which is a 2-hour speed game that's a lot more exciting for fans. And we're going to test it all. And so that happens this spring. And hopefully it's an answer to some of the problems and the challenges MLB is having.
Yeah, I think that that's awesome. And, as a baseball fan, I remember some of my earliest memories as a kid and greatest memories with my dad was going to my very first Major League Baseball game in the Astrodome with the Astros and the Braves. At that time, the Braves were on national TV all the time, and I was actually more of a Braves fan just because I could watch them play every night, right? And I couldn't watch the Astros. But I'll never forget, we saw Nolan Ryan pitch, and I can't remember who was pitching for the Braves, but it was the greatest feeling and one of the greatest memories of my life with my father. And, it's sad to see what's going on with the baseball, Major League Baseball, and I think you're spot on. So how do you think, or do you have thoughts on how they could incorporate some of the things you're doing to make the fan experience better to where it's more friendly for young fans and families to come?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with the players. It starts from top. It starts from the owners. It starts, there's a reason I'm in a yellow tuxedo. There's a lot of reasons, but, it's who I am. It's my uniform. It means I believe in standing out, having fun, bringing energy, all right? If your owner of your team is in a yellow tuxedo, does that not give you permission to not take yourself too serious and have a little bit more fun? Here's the challenge with MLB. They have these owners that are billion-dollar owners. They have a staff that everything's built on winning, 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 winning. And I think winning is very important. We spend zero focus on winning. We spend all our focus on creating the best experience for our players, our fans, and our teammates. And by doing so, we've won more games than any team in our league over the last 5 years, gone to the playoffs every year and won a championship. If MLB would focus more on how do you create the most fun baseball experience for the fans and the players, and let the players have more fun. If a guy does a bat flip, if he celebrates, don't throw a fastball at his head. Let him do it. Fans need to be able to see that it's okay to have fun and let your own character and personality come out. Let your yellow tux come out. It needs to be allowed. And unfortunately, the game has got so traditionalist based that they got a long ways to go. And so to look to this wider audience, the people that are listening that will listen or follow later, it's again, you got to challenge the rules of your industry. The rules of baseball say this is the way it has to be. It's a traditional game. It's 9 innings. It's going to be 3 hours. These are the rules. Challenge those. That's why we invented Banana Ball. That's why we're bringing in the players. That's why we're playing year round. You got to ask those questions. Is it going to fail in the beginning? 100%. We failed so many times, and that's a whole other podcast, and everyone says that, but I can give you specific failures that we've had. But you got to be able to get through the messiness. Once you get through the messiness is where the real gold happens. And I don't think MLB is willing to get through the messiness of all the traditionalists saying, this is wrong for the game, this is wrong for the game. You have to get through this to focus on who are your future fans. That's who we're focused on, the young audience. And Jason, there's a reason why we have more followers on TickTock than every Major League Baseball team. It's because we're focused on the fun and showing the players having a good time. That's how I think MLB can win.
Yeah, I want to point that out again, on what you just said, because I just think that is it's mind-blowing when you think about it. Your team has more followers on TikTok than any other MLB team does on TikTok right now, with TikTok being probably the newest and biggest hip platform out there right now, especially with the younger folks. And
they should be focusing on. Major League Baseball fans in their 60s. So you're thinking, a lot of times, take care of your current customers, understand. But if you're only focused on them, you're missing the audience that's coming up and that wants to be a part of what you are doing. And that's what we're trying to focus on, that young audience.
So I think you may know this guy, but Brad Norwood wants to know, how do we get tickets to a game? You alluded to earlier that
Join the wait list.
Always
Join the wait list. Join the wait list. But Brad, I think I have some connections. My man, Brad, He's been an inspiration for me. I've loved his support, his encouragement. So, Brad, I think you might be able to talk to someone that might find a way that can get you in a back door. But everybody else, the wait list is the place to go to get your opportunity.
That's awesome. And so, I would next ask, we've talked a little bit about it. So what was the season like this year dealing with COVID? I mean, we talked about the air high fives. We talked about the importance you had in playing, which I admire. Not being from Georgia, I'm just curious, how did that work out? How did y'all do that to where you kept it fun and safe for the fans?
Yeah, it was certainly a challenge. And, I remember, March 12th, and when the pandemic was announced the previous week, our whole staff, we surprised our staff with a trip to Disney. So a week before we were in Disney. So we said, how can we spend thousands of dollars on our team right before we have zero revenue coming in? And then the week before, we announced that we were going ad-free and eliminated and made, our whole ballpark sponsor-free and ad-free, because we believe no one comes to a park and wants to be advertised to, marketed to, or sold to. So we said, how can we throw away hundreds of thousands of dollars and spend a lot of money right before the pandemic? So that's where we came from. And then, the reality is we went into it and we said, all right, what's the most fans first thing we can do? And that's the name of our company. And that's our mission, fans first. Every decision we make is fans first. Every meeting we have, there's an empty seat that represents a fan. Do they want this? And we kept asking the question over and over and over again. And the answer was simple. We have to find a way to play for the fans. They're going to need this. The answer is always going to be find a way to play for the fans. And so we had hundreds of meetings. I'm probably not exaggerating there, with the health department. And we found a way and said, all right, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? And we asked, all from the mask and the temperature checks and social distancing and spreading out and, keeping players in 2 different locker rooms, keeping them out of the locker room. And we had to limit our attendance. We had to turn away 50,000 people that already had bought tickets, because our games were sold out. And there was a lucky, 1,000 to 1,500 that found their way. And we had to change the show a little bit. We couldn't have players delivering roses to little girls in the crowd like they always do. We couldn't have all the interactions that we did. But we challenged ourselves, how can we make the show just as good or better without the things we did? And that pushed us at a whole nother level. And at the end of the season, 0 positive COVID cases and a huge breakthrough and unbelievable innovation that we never would have seen before because of it.
Yeah, well, I just want to tell you, I admire y'all for figuring out a way to do it in a time when so many other people just gave up or just said, no way, we're just not going to do it. So I think that's admirable that but I think it speaks to the fans first, and you lived your values by doing so. So I applaud you for that.
Thank you.
One of the interesting things you've talked about this, and I've looked a little bit into this, but I think that there'll be some people out there that would find this fascinating. So you talked a little bit about banana ball, and y'all created this game that moves really fast. And can you talk a little bit about that and how it works?
Sure. Simple concept. How we innovate, the first question we always ask is, how do you eliminate friction and frustration points? And the biggest frustration point of friction in a baseball game is still the length and how slow it moves. So we said, all right, let's take away all those issues. And so we started testing it. This gives you an idea. 2.5 years ago was the first time we tested it. At a college with no one knew what was happening. We took our staff, went to a college, a fall inter squad, and one of the coaches said, we'll try it. And we tested, and we started saying, all right, so let's test this. Let's make every inning count. And if you win the inning, you get a point. And the first team to 5 points wins. So if there's literally you're creating a walk-off environment. What are the most exciting plays in baseball? Walk-offs. What are the most boring? Walks. So we eliminated walks. It's no longer called a walk, it's a sprint. On the 4th ball, the hitter has to sprint around the bases, and the fielding team has to throw the ball to every position, every player on the field before the ball is live. It turns into either a double or a play at third. It's very, very interesting. Batters can't step out. No bunting. If you bunt, you're thrown out of the game. Simple as that. No bunting. All right. A fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. Very simple there. You can steal first. In any pitch, pass ball, you can steal first. All right. And then extra innings. What we did this is extra innings. Let's put the most exciting play. It's the penalty kick. So we have a showdown. Pitcher versus hitter. No one else in the field. The pitcher has to get the hitter out. And so it's unbelievable. So we tested it. And we did it in front of our fans 3 times this summer. And we surveyed our fans. I don't do a lot of surveys. I'm not a big into that. If you ask fans what they want, they would have said faster horses. Or is that what Henry Ford said back in the day? But we did it. And the response was overwhelming. We saw it firsthand. Not one fan left. They stayed the 2 hours. They didn't go to the concession stands as much, so that whatever, but they were in tune to the game. And if that's a better experience for a fan, that's a win. And so we created it, and that's what we're going to do. And it's going to evolve. There'll be new rules. There'll be new evolutions. The more we play it, the more we learn. But I think you can't be afraid of trying something if you think it's best for the fans, even when most fans would never, ever guess that. No fan, no person, no customer ever said that they wanted something in their kitchen that looked like a Pringles bottle, a Pringles can that was black and that listened to everything you said and you could talk to it. No one ever said that. And Amazon Alexa was built, and so that's how we evolve. All of Apple products, we never said we wanted that. You have to be able to test and try and then create from there, and that's what we did, and we're moving forward with it.
That's awesome. So I've often wondered this too. So, y'all have the Bananas, and then you have the team they're playing. So my question is do the guys that have to play the opposing team to the Bananas ever get jealous and be like, well, I want to play on the good side and not be the antagonist? Does that, y'all ever do that, or do they switch squads? I'm just curious. I've always wondered that about
just on our two teams that play, or overall all the teams we play.
Overall, like when you're going to go on the road. Yeah. You've talked about going on the road, and you're going to have. I very much envision it of the baseball version of the Harlem Globetrotters.
That's what we hear all the time. Except the Bananas may lose. We're not scripting out the Bananas winning like every game. It's going to be a real competitive game. So we don't know about the jealousy now. I know players are going to get the opportunity to have more fun and be themselves on the field. And I think the party animals are going to be fun. They got sleeveless jerseys. When we played them before, they had a pizza delivered to their dugout in the middle of the game. I mean, they have barbells they're lifting in the dugout. They've shotgun energy drinks before they take them. They have enough fun for themselves. I'll tell you that.
Wow. So, I guess the biggest thing for me is that you have clearly rewrote the book on marketing. I mean, just obliterated it, blown it up, said we're going to start over. And where do you think that comes from? I mean, because I got to tell you, I've never ever met anyone like you before, ever. And I come up with these analogies, and that's kind of my secret sauce. Your secret sauce seems like, I got to tell you, it would never ever occur to me, even if I said we're going to have a high five guy, just that his name is High and the five. Just that's brilliant. Like, where does that come from?
Geez, that one originally came. When I was 11 years old, we were playing an AAU team, and I saw this player, and his last name was Nice, and his number was 1. And so I remember seeing like Nice 1. Ooh, you could do high five. Anyways, that's a whole other story. The fact that we weren't successful, Jason, and I'm gonna say that again. Success is what holds people back from innovation. And the fact that I started in Gastonia with only $268 in the bank account and only 200 fans coming to the game. The fact that I was so fortunate and grateful to go to Savannah and only sell 2 tickets in the first 3 months and run out of money. Those were the 2 best things that happened to us as far as innovation. If you're a part of a company that's been having success, it's so hard to test and try and innovate with new things. But when you come from nothing to lose, we had nothing to lose. No one even knew who we were. And so that opportunity to constantly test and experiment. And what I believe is that not enough people are experimenting enough because they're afraid of losing that success that they've had. Jeff Bezos said it best. Our direct success at Amazon is a direct function of how many experiments we do per year, per month, per week, per day. We've learned to experiment constantly. The dancing players was an experiment. We had to do that. No one was coming to the games. I said, what if the players dance? Let's try it. Let's see what happens. And by the 3rd game, I'm walking through the grandstand, and I see a husband and a wife talking, and the wife goes, "Shut up, honey. They're about to dance." I was like, all right, we have something. We have something. It happens from that constant test. And so my biggest fear is that the success will make us complacent. We have to always be a startup. We have to always be rooting out friction and frustrations for our fans. And we have to always be inventing for our future fans. That is what I'm focused on.
That's, I just wish, you're so infectious. I wished I could put that energy and all that into a bottle and I could sell it in my stores, because if I did, I could make a lot of money. Which brings me to y'all have a banana. Is it a banana juice or there's like this dessert or whatever that y'all have created?
Banana cream soda? Is that?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
That's Jesse Cole in a can right there. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Banana cream soda. Yes. Yes. But again, another experiment, and thousands have sold all over the country. It was just an experiment. We said, why not? Let's see if we can get people trying a new product from us, and kind of worked.
so,
Hey,
so
Jason, can
I,
I touch on something with energy for a second?
you got it.
You mentioned energy, and I hear that a lot. Like, oh, I wish I could have people with energy. I wish I had energy. I've started to realize why I have energy. I do things that give me energy. It's the simplest concept in the world. And I think, I've created my energy list. And I realize that most people, unfortunately, come home at the end of the day and they're tired, they're exhausted because they're doing things that don't give them energy. The key is on those days that you feel fired up, not just, oh, I like today. What brought you energy? Write it down, record it, look at those things and say, how do I book my schedule where I do more of that? Right now, Jason, this gives me energy. For me on my energy list, it's anything that fits in these boxes: sharing, creating, and growing. So right now, I'm sharing. I love telling our story. I love sharing. I love teaching. I love coaching. Creating, all right? Creating new content, new videos, new marketing ideas, new products, all right? And growing, learning from you. I read 100 books a year and do book reports and all that. I go to different places. I love that. So every day I do all of that. So at the end of the day, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm fired up to go be a dad and to be a great husband because I did things that gave me energy. So it's not too hard. I wish I could find people with energy. It's find those things that give them energy and they will have energy.
I think that's probably the best advice you've given in the whole time we've been together is you are what you bring to yourself. And I think that you really hammer that home with your stay, you with the, if, do the things that bring you joy and bring you energy. And that fits so beautifully into the living with purpose and every day going about your life in a purposeful and intentional way to search out people and things that bring you joy and to give back. So I did want to tell one more story if you don't mind. So
Yeah.
I believe it was maybe not this year, maybe it was the previous season. There was a fan, and you did a video about a family that I think there was a death involved, and maybe like one of the parents died, and then y'all had the people out. Because I want to close the show on this story, and I'll tell you why. Because this story, to me, it really touched me, and it touched me of how much you care about your fans. You love for them to have fun. You do everything with fan first, but how much you truly care about fans and people. So will you tell the story, please?
Yeah. Thank you. And I want to give credit to our team. I think it's our team culture that's built this in them. So yes, this was our first season. It was halfway through the season. And for fans who buy tickets, they know every fan who buys a ticket, they get a fun video confirmation and then they get a thank you call. And so we have our interns and our team, and every day I call too. And we had our interns calling a family that bought 8 tickets, a mother that bought 8 tickets. And our intern, Barry, 22 years old, couldn't get in touch with her. And finally, a couple of days later, he was able to get in touch. And it was the husband who answered. And he said, I'm so sorry. My wife bought these 8 tickets for our kids. And unfortunately, she just tragically died. And Barry was shook up. He said, I'm so sorry. So he's like, I don't think we're going to be able to make it, the father said. So Barry came into my office. And I remember vividly watching. He said, Jesse, this happened. And I said some of the best advice that I've ever received from a previous partner. I turned to Barry. I said, what do you think? What do you think we should do? And he kept asking me, yeah. And he said, well, what's fans first? I go, what do you think? I kept saying that. And he said, I want to create an experience. I want to see if we can get them out and create a special experience. So I called the father back and said, we'd really love to give a special experience for you and the kids. And he said, it'd probably be good for the kids to come out to the game. So they showed up, and it was the father and the 7 kids. He gave them the front row seats, and Barry presented the father with a jersey with the wife's name and the amount of years that they were married. And then we had the whole team come up to the front row pregame and spend about 30 minutes with them, signing autographs, giving bats, giving balls, giving t-shirts. And the players didn't want to leave. They just hung out with the kids right before the game. And miraculously, the family stayed for the entire game, which we've already said never happens in baseball. So they stayed for the entire game. And the father came up to Barry after the game and said that was the last gift the mother ever gave her kids, and I couldn't imagine a better gift. And so that story has lived on in our company, and Barry has become our vice president. That family has become, fans for life. They come out regularly, and it's what we preach, and it's take care of people and really create a fans first experience and create these moments that matter, because nothing matters more than making people feel like they matter. And that's what Barry and our team was able to do that day.
Yeah, normally I would, let me back up. I would say that for that family, they'll never forget that, ever. And it's so touching to hear you take a tragedy and to add a somewhat sunshine to what is a very difficult time for them. So that's why I wanted you to share the story, because it just spoke to me of who you are and what your organization is about. I usually ask at the end, I kind of ask my guests, give our audience a quick, 1-2 minute kind of thing of finding their purpose and what it means when they find that purpose. So I'll let you kind of do that.
For me, it's simplicity. And I think being very clear on who you are and what you stand for and what drives you. And that takes a long time to get to. And I heard from Jeff Rosenblum in a book, he said, whoever says the most in the least amount of words wins. So how can you narrow down who you are and what you stand for? And for us, everything's been fans first, but it goes a little deeper than that. And on we have a fans first playbook. And no one wears a jersey, no one gets our uniform until they go through our whole fans first you, and they learn what it is, what we care about, our 3 loves, moments matter meeting, our care, all of our different acronyms, everything that we stand for. And the back of that fans first playbook, intentionally, it says be patient in what you want for yourself, but be impatient in how much you give to others. And that is what guides us. That's what drives us every day. Give a little bit more.
Wow, that's amazing. So if anybody wants to find out more about the Bananas, more about you, what are some ways they can to find Jesse Cole?
You search Savannah Bananas. There's thousands of videos. We've had an amazing video team, start as interns that have posted. There's lots of stories, fortunately. If you search Yellow Tux, you'll find me. Just Yellow Tux. I'm there. I learned a great lesson when I was 24 years old. I read Mark Cuban's book, and I sent out an email to him. And he wrote back within an hour, and I was blown away. Mark Cuban. And I learned from that. I go, he always has time to help and be there for people. So people reach out to me. I am always available, as you know, and I appreciate you reaching out and sharing on this platform, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here today. I can't thank you enough. And go Bananas. And thanks, everyone, for tuning in today for the Living a Purposeful Lifestyle. We'll see you again, same time, same place, same bat channel next week on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Until then, this is Jason Ricks signing off.